When I was about 7 years old, I flipped on the TV and I watched Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki for the first time. The main character flies into a place called the Toxic Jungle, and this is basically a place that everybody is afraid of. No one wants anything to do with it. As for the main character, she just wants to learn more about it, understand maybe how everyone can learn to live with the toxic jungle. As for me, I basically have known what this feeling is like and I've been acquainted with it even before I knew how I could properly articulate it. Professionally, I've spent my entire career doing a certain version of that, flying into unknown spaces like the toxic jungle, going into ambiguity, going into the fog straight ahead, creating maps for what has no map yet. This is what I hope that this show will actually start to look like. I'm Leah Block, and this is Unmapped. So here's a little bit more about me. I was born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and that's where I currently reside. I'm a 90s baby, and I've spent most of my life here in North Carolina. I think in my younger years, I was always just outside getting my hands dirty. Um, I was playing with bugs and trying to get my classmates to also play with bugs. Um, Very early, like I mentioned before, I started watching Hayao Miyazaki movies. And that basically sums up sort of the two halves of my passions. Um, Both getting my hands dirty in the natural world and then flipping on a TV or flipping on a computer when the weather wasn't great and finding out what's cool and what's new and happening in that area. At first, before I went to school, I was considering paths like environmental technology, natural resources, and I wound up landing on communication because um, I think it just spoke to the creative person within me the most. So I studied communication at an NC State University a little while back, and I concentrated in organizational and interpersonal communication. And it was a great time. It wasn't immediate to me that I would end up uh, formally in marketing, but I think as I went on, it became more interesting and more feasible for me to go into. Some of my earliest experiences, um, professional experiences, were just people creating something new. And they just came to me and said, can you help me distribute this? Can you help me popularize this? Can you help me write copy for this? Do social media, create a buzz or a community around this, start connecting people and help us grow this idea, this amorphous thing or concept. So I was lucky pretty early, I think I was trusted to usher growth and steward product growth and create market buzz. That sort of inspired a fractional or independent consulting path for me more recently. And that just involves being the go to person for marketing across seemingly disparate projects. However, the through line has become tech, AI, and deep tech organizations coming to me for my help. And this path is continuing to evolve and change in real time, which is what makes it so appealing and so exciting. I think there have been many defining moments in this work um, around building tech markets and building AI markets. And it goes back to what I said about just being the person, a trusted individual someone can pull in when the problems are so ambiguous, the challenges are so fresh and new. Um, for instance, I worked earlier on for the NC Clean Energy Technology Center as a consultant, a marketing growth consultant. And at that time, clean cars and solar power were still very much these high tech innovations that folks, it's tough for them to wrap their heads around the benefits, why it's really helping them, why it's relevant. And all of a sudden, I'm the clean energy girl, I'm the EV girl. And I didn't know anything about it really going in. I just said, yeah, sign me up. But by the end of the experience, people were coming to me for help um, about how to streamline their work and make EV the moment, make solar power the moment. So I think that's been a pretty critical moment. And I can't wait to see what else is going to happen. So basically, all of that is to say, I've noticed some patterns about what is working for AI and deep tech market architecture and what is not working. Um, so that's what we're going to be talking about today and in future episodes, I guess. Um, we see so much discourse among people about AI and its pros and cons for humanity. Um, and it's definitely not unique to AI. There's conversations around all sorts of recent innovations and what are the implications? What is the meaning of the technology for regular people, everyday folks? From my perspective, this is part of what a good marketer or market architect needs to think about right now. Um, it's the narrative. As far as companies, are companies rising to the moment, creating structure that embeds people and technology as equals? Um, that's just a couple of things that might need some work and some exploration about how we're all going to figure this out together. Um, I do a lot of, um, I've had a lot of conversations recently with people right on the frontier of new technology, new AI, new deep tech, new large language models. And a lot of them are asking me the same questions. um, the questions are similarly like, what's the playbook? How do we talk about our product with technical buyers, non technical buyers, developers, other founders? And not just at that point in the discourse, they're wondering and maybe needing help on explaining what's going to happen at the end result of adoption. Um, just articulating what is the product really going to do at different levels for an individual in the market, and then just in the category as a whole. And I'll use the word category a lot in this show. And I'll probably go more into how I define categories soon. Yeah, so I think it's a good time to just outline why you should watch and keep up with what we'll be talking about here. Um, I do think it is going to be different from just a strategy and tactics and tips type podcast. I think it is going to be a lot different from some of my thought bubbles I post here and there on LinkedIn, um, or in a blog. I think it's very honest field work from someone who is currently living it. Um, so hopefully, I've already mentioned who might gain from tuning in to this podcast. I think some early founders at 2 to 15 mil, who know that their product is the real deal, um, and are starting to think about how to introduce it to the market, how to make people feel something or develop an opinion about it. And I say this very broadly. This can also go the other way. Other leaders, go to market leaders, product leaders, who are trying to find new frameworks, maybe seeing some issues with older frameworks that are sort of breaking down in this moment and need something fresh, might enjoy or get something from this podcast. And yeah, I will leave you with a guarantee. Uh, with every episode, there will be one big takeaway that will hold up, that you can use in your organization. So you might repurpose it for your um, board deck, uh, your sales calls, or maybe just in another professional conversation or discussion. Maybe you might use it for hiring. I definitely hope it will be useful to a wide range of people. That is that's definitely a goal. Yeah. So one final note on that subject. Um, this will be more of a solo project. So there's no co-host doing all the editing and recording with me. It'll just be me a lot of the time, um, doing some teachings, um, maybe some more narrative focused episodes. And um, the other part of that is then there will be guests where I am the primary interviewer. And I think my reasoning for that is just yeah, I think I want to put what I believe out there in an unfiltered way, just full on. And I want it to be pretty unfiltered. So that's why this is going to be pretty solo, as me being the main teacher and main interviewer. So I personally am going to use the phrase terminology category to encompass a feeling about something new being introduced to humanity. I think it might help to talk about what I don't think a category is, what it is not. Uh, a category is not a market segment. Um, it's not a set of different features. Um, to polish what I said initially, I'm going to be defining a category as uh, a shared belief system about something, a problem that hasn't existed yet, something kind of new. So there's different conversations about creating a category versus entering an existing category. And then there's different conversations about how to position um, in doing either and making declarations while doing either. Personally, I find the most exciting work to be where the hardest challenges in category creation are. So that's creating an entirely new category, which is constantly happening these days, which is great. And um, doing the work that goes along with that inside of creating a category. Um, yeah, I encourage anyone to think what it what it means to you personally. Are there categories that have impacted you on a personal level? New product introductions that altered your life, or a community's pathway, uh, an organization, or even the trajectory of the world. And that really is what we're talking about here, changing the world. That is category creation at its highest, I'd say, in its best form, um, ideally. Um, so, yeah, that'll be the meat of this particular episode. Um, just acquainting all of you guys, my viewers, with what I think, what is category, what is a category, what is category creation, um, why should it matter, how do I approach it. Um, so that's what we're gonna keep on talking about here. Right. So when you're creating a category, um, it's a lot more to do with um, positioning for the market and for the psychology of the buyer, the psychology of the buyer community. And then versus entering a category that already exists, which is fine. Um, it happens, it has to happen. That has a lot more to do with um, declaration, which is working with what already exists, going off of what already exists within the defined category already. So I'm just ready to focus on the creation part. Um, a few things have to kind of create the environment for category creation. Um, yeah, I like that framing. There, the stage has to sort of be set a little bit, and I think those things are that there needs to be a buyer who is experiencing, um, they are feeling a problem. Um, they have to feel like there is no great existing solution for their problem, or that the ones that do aren't great. They aren't doing enough to solve um, their problem. They're not good enough to be a solution really anymore today. And basically, this person experiencing some pain um, needs to reach a point where um, they can express that they're going to do something differently, clearly, in a single sentence. They're going to switch to a new solution easily and succinctly. Um, so earlier I talked about me becoming the EV girl. And from what I saw in there, um, people are struggling identity wise with being associated with pollution of the earth. This has risen culturally as um, a very big discourse, very large discourse. And everyday people are now thinking about how they're impacting the earth and experiencing discomfort at the thought that their habits are not doing the environment around us a great service. So that is setting a stage perfectly, basically, for a new category to come out, and that is clean energy vehicles, clean vehicles that are not going to add to the pollution of the atmosphere or the water or soil or air when you use it. Um, if they're experiencing guilt driving a purely gas powered car, that pain or problem is alleviated when they switch to a hybrid or clean car. And it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear when that happens. Oh, I wanted to change my habits with keeping the earth clean. So I have purchased a car that runs on electricity instead of gas. Boom. That is what we're talking about. Um, yeah, I put here that's when something starts to click. And um, that's what people bringing products to the market for the first time are really going for a click to happen with their buyers. That means um, click and success are interchangeable. um, so, yeah, maybe by now you've thought about products or um, technological moments that altered your life or your neighborhood's life or the country's trajectory. And you probably have thought of some really good examples. I mean, when I was in middle school, I let my iPod run my life. And that was all about being in a musical community. Um, I might mention Apple and how they've introduced products a lot because I think they're just a great example of how to create a new category from nothing, creating a moment. I might also use the word a moment a lot. Um, but curiously, you might have also thought of, I know I can think of moments in our technical history um, where there's a new category that's has sort of a dark side. Um, this happens when category creation can be sort of corrupted. Mm, maybe there's companies that have sort of tried to introduce something without earning any authority around it. Uh, Maybe it's not really category creation, it's more just a hype grab um, and just repositioning with some extra frills. So it's not really um, fully doing the work of category creation while claiming it as being something wonderful and new, um, but it doesn't quite meet the criteria. I think if that's the case, um, for organizations, there's always hope. And there is, as many of my technical viewers know, or maybe just business like viewers will know, there is a catching up that happens whenever something is introduced that's pretty novel. Um, and that is where the fog just creeps in, and it's ambiguous for leaders and regular employees alike. And I think that's pretty standard. It's not the most comfortable time, but um, for anyone, as for teams and boards and the salespeople, during that window of catching up, it can literally be almost 2 years of um, just difficulty with attaching a good and positive um, category feeling with a product or new technology, or AI model. However, yeah, it's normal, and I think if the organization is well aligned um, with their product and what it's going to do downstream, then most can overcome this ambiguity and come out with a really solid offering. So, in summation, I don't think this category stuff I'm talking about is purely purely marketing strategy. I think it can be more of um, it can be more of a instinctual or well educated um, inference or bet that the future belongs or is in really in the hands of the company that is teaching the market, its buyers, what to want next. So that is all where, and that is all the territory that I'm living in now. I hope you've had a lot of fun so far, just like I am. From here, I can't wait to continue exploring go to market framework, my go to market framework, the Leah Block GTM stack. I can't wait to connect with real founders doing all this tricky work that I've been talking about. Um, so, yeah, that leads me to what's really coming for the next couple of episodes. Next time, um, I'll be breaking down really some more specifics on that really early stage growth. Um, how to even get investors on board before there's a single investor with your organization, your idea. Um, this will involve some guests, probably. Um, I might talk about um, more encouraging you to adopt the Leah Block GTM stack and why other go-to market strategies are starting to starting to become frail and break down in the modern day. Um, Thank you very much. I hope um, some of my words have resonated and that you will send this to founders and workers, GTM leaders, salespeople who really need it right now. Um, yeah, even just one person makes a huge difference. Um, it can be anyone who's really working through the fog right now because, as going way back to the start, well, a lot of us, I know I am, are just flying into the fog right now and we need maps. We're going into new categories, new territory, unmapped places. Um, Hopefully, um, you're feeling more directionally intentional just from episode 1 of Unmapped. Um, I've got a compass right here, and I'm definitely excited to keep on sharing what I believe the compass is saying to all of us. See you out there. Hello again. Going to share a few things before I let you go today. This is the category dispatch. It is my very fresh newsletter on LinkedIn, um, sharing about very similar things as I talk to right here on Unmapped. Um, Lots of similar themes and advice and just the currents. So definitely look out for subscribing to this on LinkedIn. That would definitely mean so much as I get this thing off the ground. Um, just like with this podcast, share it with someone who's going through the fog, a founder, a salesperson, a GTM leader. That all is so appreciated. Um, on that note, definitely feel very welcome to drop me a line on LinkedIn, hit that connect button so we can keep up with each other um, and all of our updates. From my LinkedIn, you can find other free resources like my portfolio, website, leadership manifesto, and just some visuals around um, bringing AI products to market. Again, want to say thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Unmapped. I'm really excited to have you guys joining me um, as we explore all the nitty gritty details in bringing new things into the world together and doing it well. So I hope to see you guys in a couple weeks or whenever it is for the next episode when we hopefully are bringing on some interesting people for some cool interviews. And I hope to see you guys, see some new connections, say hello. And that's it. Thank you and see you next time.